Okay, let's begin then. So hello everyone, and thank you so much for joining me on this training. You can ask any questions in between as well. So you have access to the chat window. Whenever you come across any question, please type your question over there. So what we will do that after a few slides, I can open the chat window and we can go through your questions as well. And at any point, if you think that my pace is quite fast, then yes, please enter that in the chat as well. Right now, as I'm presenting my window, I can't see the chat window, but I'll make sure that after 2 or 3 slides, I go back to the chat and see that if everything is going well. So we can start. So as you know that this is the first session for ISTQB training for CTFL, also known as Certified Tester Foundation Level. I will not go in detail by defining what is ISTQB because I assume that all of you know that, and I would like to continue with the actual bit of the training so that we can utilize the time in the best way. So I'll start by introducing myself. My name is Hina Ashraf, and I work as head of testing at one of the challenging banks over here in London. And I'm working in IT field for last 22 years now. And I have worked both in development and in testing as well. And I have been working in different industries, e-commerce, identity management, gaming, and mostly in finance. Right, so yeah, that was all about me. Okay, so the format of each session would be that it will be, of course, lecture based. Then we will do a couple of practice questions, and we will also do some assignments as well. And so at the end, of course, I will leave a window for questions as well. But I also wanted this to be an interactive session. So instead of just leaving the questions at the end, I think we will, in the middle, we will go back to the questions again and again, just to make sure that everyone is on the page, on the same pace. Right, okay, so let's start with who should take the exam. Okay, so anyone who needs to demonstrate their practical knowledge of the concepts of software testing. Mostly people who take this exam are who are already working in testing field. They can be test analysts, they can be test managers, they can be UAT testers, they can be software developers as well, because software developers, of course, they also do unit testing. They also take part in integration testing, but mostly I would say that, yes, test analysts are mostly the people who take this exam. So there are lots of exams which you can take after you pass this exam. So this is the foundation, and then there are a couple of more foundation exams as well, and then there is advanced level and then expert level. So there are different routes you can take within the certification based on what you want to do in future, which direction you want to go. And this is something, this training, this exam is the base of everything you want to do later on. So that's why it's highly beneficial. This training can also be taken by people who are like project managers, and they are development managers, BAs. But to be honest, in my professional career, I haven't seen many people, many BAs or project managers who has taken these certification exams. So that's why I think it's mostly the testing people. Right. Okay, talking about the exam structure. So this exam is for 60 minutes, 1 hour. The format is multiple choice questions. So there will be a question and there will be 4 options, and then you have to choose the right one. There will be a total of 40 questions, and pass marks will be 65%, which means that out of 40, you have to answer 26 questions correctly. There will be no negative marking, which means that even, let's say, if you are not sure about any answer, don't leave anything blank. If you are not sure, just select any which you think is the nearest correct answer, but don't leave any question blank. Okay, so the total time is 1 hour, but the participants that take the exam, which is not in their spoken language, they receive usually an additional 25% of time, which makes it a total of 70. So of course, this clause will vary on like where you are taking this exam and whether your spoken language is English or not. And usually the exams can be taken in 2 ways. They can be taken independently as well at any examination center, or it can also be taken through an accredited training provider. Like for example, there are few companies who are accredited training providers who provides training, and then after 2 days or 3 days training, they also make you take the exam in their center. So there are a few training centers like those as well. Mostly it's online exams, so you do get the immediate results. I don't know, might be few places still they are taking paper-based exams. I'm not sure about it, but what I'm aware of here and most of the places, it's now online exams. So you will get your results immediately. Right, okay, I will just, before I move to the next one, I will just quickly look at the chat window just to make sure that there is nothing. Okay, no questions so far. All right, so I assume it's all good then. Next one is cognitive levels. Okay, so all the sections which are identified in the syllabus, and by the way, we are doing 2018 syllabus because before that there was the old one. And last year also there were few changes in June 2019 as well. So there are not a lot of changes. It's just that because now most of the projects are agile based, so they have also included more of the agile things as well, and have also included lots of reviews as well, review part as well. But of course, we'll get to know as we progress further. So the sections are basically divided into different K levels, which you will see throughout the training. So it's K1, K2, K3, K4. So these cognitive levels, which are also known as K level, K stands for knowledge. It basically refers to the knowledge required for a particular certification. So K1 is remember, so which means that the candidate should remember or recognize a term or a concept. K2, understand. The candidate should select an explanation for a statement which is related to the question topic. So let's say that if you see a question, you should be able to relate that, okay, now we are talking about this specific section. So that would be K2. K3, the candidate should select the correct application of a concept or a technique and should know how to apply that in whatever the context is given. Then K4 is analyze. The candidate can analyze a document, a software, or a project and propose appropriate actions to solve a problem or task. Okay, so there are 62 learning objectives in the 2018 syllabus, and they are divided as, there will be 15 questions covering K1, 40 K2, 7 K3. So you might think that why there is not K4. I would say that the questions which are 7 from K3, they to some extent they do touch a little bit of K4 as well, but mostly it's K3. K4 is more for the advanced level. So after that, anyone who wish to pursue with advanced certification as well, K4 will be covered in that. Right. Okay, so I can see there are a couple of questions. Oh, can't hear my voice. Umair, can you still can't hear me? Yeah, please, Umair, let me know if you can't hear me. And then there's a question from Santosh that can we take the exam online from house? No, Santosh, unfortunately, you have to go to an exam center, and over there they will check your ID, and then you can take exam over there, and they will immediately give you your results. Okay, that's good, Umair, that you can hear me. That's good. Right. Okay, let's go further then. Right. Next is modules that in this foundation certification, how many modules? There are total 6 modules, and these are the key chapters, you can say, which are first one, fundamentals of testing, testing throughout the SDLC, static testing, test techniques, test management, and tool support for testing. So we will start with fundamentals of testing. Under fundamentals of testing, there are several sections, which are what is testing, why is testing necessary, 7 testing principles, test process, the psychology of testing. And today we will cover most of the first part, which is what is testing. So we will cover this area today. So what is testing? It basically says that what is the definition of testing, you understand what is it, then what are the objectives of testing, what is the difference between testing and debugging. So this is the section which we will cover today. And by the end of this session, I would expect that there is no doubt in this area. Most of you are already working in testing field, so I assume this wouldn't be difficult for you at all. And I'm sure that you already know this, but of course, if someone has any question, we can definitely discuss that. Right, okay, so what is testing? Testing is an activity used to reduce risk and improve quality by finding defects. So there are a lot of misconceptions about what software testing is and what testers do, because mostly it's assumed that testing only means test execution. But throughout these years, I would say that the concept of testing has evolved a lot. And in this training, we will cover different aspects of testing to understand them better. Right, okay. So if we talk about testing broadly, of course, in the context of software, that's what we are talking about. So there are these key stages for testing, which is every testing starts with planning phase, then it's design, then execute, then evaluate, and then finalize means that yes, now the product is finally signed off. So I'll go through all these points. Number 1, planning and control. Of course, when you get a project for testing, you go through all the documents, you do some planning, you come up with a test strategy, test plan. Then second, choosing the test conditions, means what kind of test environment you will be testing in, etc. Then designing and executing test cases. So you write the test cases, you prepare all the test data, and then you execute the test cases as well. Number 4, checking the results. So checking the results means like that when you are validating your test cases, is everything working well? So yeah, either the test cases are passed or failed. Number 5, evaluating exit criteria. So according to your test plan, or according to whatever the terms and conditions you have agreed with the team you are working in, whatever the exit criteria you have defined and agreed, is you will evaluate that yes, is it done or not? And if it's done, then of course you will move to the next stage, which is number 6, reporting test progress and results. That how many test cases were passed, failed, what are the known issues, what are the risks, etc. So everything that goes in a test report. Number 7, completing closure activities, for example, completion of a test phase. So this is basically that, yes, all the first 6 parts are done. The tester is signed off the project, and now this is completely signed off and ready to go to production. Of course, now it depends on what kind of project you are doing. If it's a waterfall project, then yes, it will all go in this order. If you are doing a project using agile methodology, means you are working in different sprints, then maybe these stages will be in the same order, but maybe let's say that the sign off will be after few sprints and not every sprint, etc. Or maybe one sprint can consist of all these activities as well. So it all depends that what kind of project you are doing and what kind of model you have adopted in your company. Right. Okay, so there are some few things. Will you also provide certification exams and all? No, Sandeep, I'm just providing training because I'm not I don't have an accredited training center. As I just told about myself, I have a full-time day job. So I work for a company, and I just provide trainings, like one-to-one trainings on different things. Like this certification, and I also help with some other one-to-one trainings, like interview preparation and some like automation testing, etc. So this is more of like I do as a hobby, and but this one is like a group training which I'm doing. But yes, I can't provide the certification exams. This is something, after this training session, you should register to an exam center, and you have to take the exam over there. I hope this answers your question. Right, Naveed, is this beneficial for automation engineers? Naveed, yes, I would say, okay, it depends that if you are already doing automation, and if you don't have this certification, and let's say in future you want to do the certification for automation or any other further expert level, you have to do this first. So that's why I would say, yes, this is very, very important. And secondly, in my experience, I have seen a lot of automation engineers. Like, okay, when you talk about automation, automation is a buzzword, which unfortunately nowadays everyone wants to do automation. And to be honest, most of the people, they don't even understand that what you need to be an automation engineer. There are many successful automation engineers who can write the code, who can execute them, but they lack the basics of a software tester. Means they are no different to a developer, in my view, and which doesn't make them a good software tester. I know many people, if I give them any, let's say, pseudocode, they can code that, but they don't have that tester vision to think out of the box of how many scenarios should they cover, and what should be the scope of testing, what would be the boundary cases they should test. So they don't think that, because they are not trained in that ways. They just wanted to be a tester and then immediately wanted to be an automation tester. And I would say that without a good manual tester, you can't be a good automation tester. If that's all what someone wants, I think then they should rather be a developer rather than an automation tester. So I hope that this answers your question. I would say yes, this is quite important in whatever direction you want to go in future. Right. Nokia 7.2. Will the documents be provided for reference? Should we know in detail about planning separately, controls separately, like what exactly happens? Because in the syllabus copy, there is a lot of information about planning, control, etc. Yes, so what I will do that after each session, I will put these slides in the group, because they can be like, I could have just recorded this session beforehand and I could have just given you the recording link, but I wanted it to be an interactive session so that you feel that you can ask me questions. And I will post these slides over there, and so that you can have a reference as well. And secondly, the purpose of the group is that yes, even after this session, if someone wants to ask any question or to discuss something or to share something, then we can do that in that group. We should just understand that all the participants in this training, they will be in different levels of their experiences. And maybe there are few newcomers as well who are not even working, but they want to start their career in testing. So everyone will do this training at their own pace. And the idea of having a group is that we all help each other. So the group is not only for ISTQB. Yes, we are starting it with ISTQB, but I would encourage you to use it for anything related to testing, because maybe if there is one area which is in high demand and everyone wants to do that, maybe in future we can do a group training for that topic as well. So yes, so just whatever you would like to learn, please share that in the group. But for now, I think Nokia 7.2, I hope that this answers your question. And sorry, there was one more part about all the syllabus copy. Yeah, so in the syllabus, I know that, yes, they have covered all these in detail. And this is something which we will cover in further as well, in other topics as well, because that's what all this foundation is, that we will touch all the different phases of testing at different stages of SDLC. So yes, we will cover all of this in detail. Right, okay. So I am closing this window so that we can move further. Right, okay, so the next step is static and dynamic testing. When we talk about types of testing, there are, like, people take it differently. Like we can take like black box testing, white box testing, manual testing, automation testing, performance testing. But if we just say the higher picture, there are only two types of testing, which are static and dynamic testing. So let's see that what's the difference between these two. So all testing can be considered as static or dynamic. Static testing does not involve execution of the component, but instead consists of static analysis. Dynamic testing involves the execution of the component or system being tested. Okay, so when we are executing any kind of testing, we are running our test cases, etc. So that's basically is a dynamic test. Dynamic testing ensures the implementation of requirements is as per the expectation of users. And this is also called validation. So all kinds of testing which we execute, whether it's manual, it's automation, it's non-functional, etc. Or if we see the user side, which is user acceptance testing, this all falls under dynamic testing. Coming to static testing. So static testing is basically which happens before the code is deployed, or you can say that before it's ready to test, which means that it's still either in development phase or in the requirement phase, etc. But it's before a testing phase begins. For example, it will include the activities like static analysis of code, reviews, walkthroughs, inspections. So there are lots of static analysis tools as well nowadays, which we can use. So there is a built-in tool in Visual Studio. Then there is one in Eclipse as well. There is another one, Sonar Cube. So if you go to internet, you can see a lot of static code analysis tools, and maybe few of you are already using them. So this activity of static testing is also known as verification. So you must be aware of the concept. You hear a lot about verification and validation. So this is the basic difference between verification and validation. So verification is static testing, and validation is dynamic testing. Right, okay, so the next topic is testing objectives. So what are the objectives of testing? Right. Okay, so first of all, it's that it prevent defects. And I will go all of them and I will discuss all of them one by one. So what we mean by prevent defects. So it means that efficient testing helps preventing defects, and that helps in providing an error-free application. The idea of doing execution of testing is finding the defects, but what we call proactive testing is that if we can prevent the defects, that's much better than finding the defects, because that saves lots of time, money, and it also shows the efficiency of a tester as well, and what kind of test process you have implemented in your organization. So yeah, the first thing is prevent the defects. Second is evaluate work products. So what we mean by work products over here, the work products can be anything like requirements, user stories, and design, and it also includes code as well. So all these the evaluation of all these work products is the second step, because that's what we do, that we start from the requirements, that we start evaluating the requirements. We do and the next step is we verify the requirements. Like we verify whether all specified requirements have been fulfilled. So now over here, we are using this word verify. So we should remember that this is static testing over here. Right, next is validate test object. So now it's the validate part, which we just covered in the previous slide, that validate is part of dynamic testing, where we actually execute the test. Validate test object. Test object can be anything. It can be any software, it can be any product. So that's why the term test object is written over here. But over here, mostly we are talking in the terms of a software. Right, so validate test object, it means that we have to validate whether the test object is complete and it works as the user and other stakeholders expect. Next is build confidence. So build confidence will cover that we are confident that what's the level of quality of the test object. And next is reduce risk. So to reduce the level of risk of inadequate software quality, for example, previously, maybe there were previously undetected failures which were occurring in operation. So this time we'll make sure that yes, the risk is reduced. And that's how you will plan your test. Second is next one is share information to stakeholders. This will include that you provide enough information to stakeholders to allow them to make informed decisions, especially regarding the level of quality of the test object. So most of you who are already working, you may be working in a setup where you have a team, maybe you are working in work streams, or you are working in a separate test team, dev team, etc. And when you are done with the project, then at the end, there must be some stakeholder. Stakeholder can be anyone who is representing a business, which means that who is not part of IT team. So now who will be the stakeholders? Stakeholders can be anyone who is representing the business. They can be maybe someone from the product team. They can be maybe some key people like CTO of the company, etc. It all depends the hierarchy, but anyone who is representing the business. So it's basically a kind of sign off from the business as well. So these are basically stakeholders, because these are the stakeholders who for the testers are the representation of users. So they basically represent the users because they have done all the research analysis in the market and they know that what user wants. So when you are sharing your test results, etc., and or your experience of testing with them, it's to let them know that yes, this is what we have tested so far in form of your test reports, etc., and so that they can then make a good decision that whether it's right to go live or not. Right, second, next one is find failures and defects. So this is to find failures and defects. Defects should be identified as early in the test cycle as possible. So of course we have gone through the entire cycle, and yes, when any product comes to testing, we do test at that time and we find the failures and defects, but sometimes it's too late in the cycle. So the idea is that as soon as the requirements are written, if someone from testing team is reviewing the requirements, that's the best stage to spot the issues or the bugs. Because let's say that something has been documented, then it's developed based on that documentation, and then it comes to testing, you know that maybe one requirement was not even documented correctly, which means that all that time which took to come to develop, to maybe write those requirements, etc., everything was just wasted. And then sometimes everyone has to start from square one, back to square one. So that's why if let's say that someone would have analyzed the requirements and spotted that, yes, these are, there's an issue over here, then maybe it would have saved a lot of time. Right, okay, before we go further, I can see there are a few questions, so let's go through those. Right, Gaurav, actually I joined now. Did I miss something? Hi, Gaurav. I don't think there would be a lot you have missed. What I will do that once we are done with this session, as I already said, that I will post these slides in the group. And then before our next session, of course, we will be discussing everything we covered in this session. And if you have any question, then we all can answer that. So yeah, don't worry about it. Right, Sandeep, would you also provide exam for first certification or only the training? So yeah, Sandeep, as I already said that I can't provide exam for certification. The reason is because I don't have an accredited training center. I will just provide the training. And yes, if you have any kind of questions regarding the exams, etc., I can definitely help you with that. Throughout the training, we will do a lot of practice questions, and at the end, we'll try our best to do a couple of mock tests as well, so that you all are prepared. But yeah, in terms of exams, that's not something I can do. You have to go to an exam center for that. I hope this answers your question. Right, Umair, will you upload class video in the group? Yes, so Umair, as I will also share the slides, what I'm doing is I'm trying to record this session as well. And I am actually using this webinar tool the first time because I usually do one-to-one trainings. So what I will do that I will see the recording after this, and let's say that how much was the file size, etc. And if possible, then of course I will upload this in the group as well. Right. Can we get notes or slides? Yes, Gaurav, I will provide you all the slides, so don't worry about it. And after this session as well, if you have any kind of question, you can always ask in the group, and we will discuss that. Right. Okay. Is verify requirements done by the clients? Okay, so Santosh, I'm not sure that what do you mean by clients? So by clients, I assume you are referring to the end users. Is that correct? And if that's the case, then no. Verify requirements is like, let's say if you are a tester and you are part of the team, and let's say a team has like you as tester, and there is a developer, and there is someone, let's say a business analyst as well, who will write the requirements. So you, business analyst, and the developer, all three people should be able to verify the requirements. So what are verify requirements? That let's say the client have provided you maybe a spec, a specification, or maybe a client has just verbally communicated that this is what we want. And based on those verbal communications, a business analyst have come up with a requirement document, and then the developer has to develop based on those requirements. But before it's developed, if you verify it before, means like that you discuss it, that okay, this is what the client is asking for, but how will we do that? Or maybe, so as a tester, you will see it from testing perspective that, all right, I don't think that we can test that in this environment. Will we be having any kind of sandbox environment to test it? Will we have test data for this? So all these kind of things. So this will go into the reviews. So this will be done by you, developer, business analyst in conjunction. So yeah, so verification is not from clients, because clients are the one who basically provide the requirements. So I hope this answers your question. Here you mean to say about gap analysis. Gap analysis is, Priyanka, is a totally different term. Usually gap analysis is a term which we use when we compare something with a standard. So I understand what you want to say, that whether we are doing the gap analysis, that what's the gap between what was required and what has been developed, etc. If that's what you mean. So if you think about the concept, maybe it's the same thing, but when we come about the, when we talk about terminologies, we don't use gap analysis for this. Because when you will say, when we'll use the term gap analysis, usually it is like, for example, if there is any standard, an industry standard like ISO certification or CMMI, and you want to implement in your organization. So you have a standard over there. So what you will do, that you will see that standard, and then you will see the processes implemented in your company, and then you will do the gap analysis that, oh yes, this is the clause 1, we have it implemented, so yeah, this one is done. Clause 2, we are not doing it, which means we have to do this. So this is basically a gap analysis. So usually there is a document of gap analysis where you mention all the clauses from the standard as a reference. And then you mention that, okay, this is done, this is not done. What we usually use the term in this context is the traceability matrix. So this is something which we will do further in the further sessions, that where we see that when we are covering the test cases, are we covering all the requirements? So that matrix is known as the traceability, just to ensure that we are not missing any requirement. So I hope that answer your question. Right, how much fee I have to pay for exam? Okay, so Gaurav, this is something I think you need to check with the exam center in your country. Over here, I think it will be the same everywhere, but of course the currency would be different. So as of now, I know that it's £190 to take the exam over here. And if you convert the same wherever you are living, so just convert that into the currency, or you can see on any exam center site as well. I can check with you. Let me know, and where do you live, and I can see that in that city, which is the exam center and the exam fee, etc. I can help you finding that, if that helps. Yes, Priyanka, you are right. The traceability matrix. Yeah, that's correct. And we will cover that in the further sections. Right. Okay. So let's then move further, because what's the time? Is 3:12. Okay. So yeah, we do have time. Let's move on. Right. So the last section of what is testing part is debugging versus testing. Right. Okay. So testing, we have already covered, is a process to verify whether the system is working the same way as expected or not, while debugging is the process of finding, analyzing, and removing the causes of failures in software. It's a development activity which involves finding and fixing the cause of the failure. In short, if you are confused what is testing and what is debugging, just remember this clause that testers test and developers debug. And whenever you are confused, then this will help you to identify that, okay, what's testing and what is debugging. So this is another flow which will explain that which are the activities which are done by a tester, and the other ones by a developer, which will fall under debugging. So let's say a tester is testing, and I have observed a bug while testing. So I will report that bug. Then I will pass it on to a developer. The developer will investigate the root cause. Then the developer will fix that bug, verify the fix, report the fix, and give it back to me, and I will retest that bug. So everything which is colored in orange, that's basically the testing activity. And the one in blue, they are debugging. So this is quite straightforward. I hope that it's clear, but still, if you do have any question about it, do let me know. Right, okay, so I do have some practice questions, but before we move on to the practice question, I just want to make sure that there are no other questions from your side. Okay, there is nothing. All right. So what I will do, we will do 4 questions together, and I would like you to give me the answer. Right. So let's see the first one. Which of the following is correct? Debugging is A, testing, checking whether the software performs correctly. B, checking that a previously reported defect has been corrected. C, identifying the cause of a defect, repairing the code, and checking the fix is correct. D, checking that no unintended consequences have occurred as a result of a fix. Right. Okay. So yes, please. Yeah. So Mushtaba has answered. Priyanka has answered C, which is correct. Yes, Santosh, that's correct. Jatin, that's correct answer. Yeah. Yeah, Yujita, Umair. Perfect. That's good. Mushtaba. Yeah, that's the right answer. Right. Okay. Let's go to the next one. Right. Second question is, 5 parts of the fundamental test process have a broad chronological order. Which of the options gives 3 different parts in the correct order? So please go through these options and take your time, and then please answer what do you think is the correct one. Okay, Jatin, Kanika, and Yujito, option B, which is correct answer. Yes, Anthony, Priyanka, that's absolutely correct. Okay, moving on to the third one. Which statement is most true? A is different testing is needed depending upon the application. B, all software is tested in the same way. C, a technique that finds defects will always find defects. And D, a technique that has found no defects is not useful. A, Mushtaba, that's the correct answer. Priyanka, you have mentioned C. A technique that find defects will always find defects. That's not the correct one. So why A is the correct answer? Okay, so I can see 4 as well, which is a technique that has found no defects is not useful. Right. Okay, so yeah, A is the correct answer. And the reason is because it depends that what kind of application you are testing. And whatever type of application you are testing, you have to adopt a test technique for that. So let's say that you have tested an application with a very nice test strategy, and it worked really well. And if I say that, okay, now this strategy works really well, so now whatever the application comes next, I will use the same strategy, that will be incorrect approach, because I don't know what will be the type of application. For example, we do test web applications. We also test mobile applications, and we also test desktop applications. So the techniques which we will adopt to test all these different applications will be different. If we are testing a desktop application, we will not worry about the type of browsers we have to test it on. But as soon as we do some web testing, yes, if it's working on Chrome, it doesn't mean it will work on IE or Firefox as well. Or if it's working on a specific version, it doesn't mean it will work on the others as well. Same is with mobile testing. In mobile testing, it goes one step further. Apart from the browsers, we also need to see that, okay, which handsets people are using. So it depends that what kind of application you are testing. And that's why different testing is needed based on that. So A is the correct answer. I hope that it's clear to everyone. If not, please let me know so that we can make sure that you understand this. Right. Okay, so I hope that it's clear and we can move to the next one. Okay, so now this is the last one. Which of the following types of defect are typically found in reviews rather than in dynamic testing? So remember that what are reviews? Reviews are static testing, right? So the option is deviations from standards, defects in interface implementation, poor maintainability of code, poor performance of the system, defects in requirements, and then we have 4 options with a combination of A, C, and E, A, B, and D, B, D, and E, and A, C, and D. So yeah, please take your time and then answer accordingly. Okay, so I have got 5 answers. Let's see. Where can I reply on Q&A or chat? Okay, Gaurav. Yeah, you can reply anywhere. Okay, I just saw that there are lots of chat comments as well. Okay, so let's go through Q&A section, and then I will also open the chat window as well, just in case if we have missed anyone in chat. Okay, so for now, let's just continue in Q&A section. Right. Okay, so everyone has answered A, and which is the correct answer. Let's go through the options. A is A, C, and E. So A is deviations from standards, then C is poor maintainability of code, and E is defects and requirements. B and D will come under dynamic testing, which is actually the execution of testing. So yeah, A is the correct answer, and everyone has answered it correctly, which is perfect. Good. Right. Okay, so I will just open the chat window as well. Yes, because I just want to make sure that I haven't missed any question. Okay, so some people have answered over here. It's fine. I just want to make sure there is no other question which I have missed. Right. Okay. Yeah, that's fine. All right. So these are the practice questions. So practice questions end over here. And next, now we are coming to the end of the session. So over here now I want to talk to you about the assignment, that what would be the assignment. So after this session, after some time, what I will do, I will send you a list of few questions, which will be similar to the questions we just practiced. So there will be not a lot, few ones, because we have just covered a little part yet. So you have to go through those questions. Also, I would encourage that the book which I have posted in the group, then please go through that book as well, and make sure that you cover the area which we have talked about today. And if you have any question, please, I encourage you to ask in the group, and also help each other as well in the group. And throughout this series, of course, there are lots of other resources available on internet as well. So what we will do, that as we cover further sessions, we will also share the links for those resources as well, so that we can practice as much as possible. So yeah, that would be your assignment. And now at the end, if you have any questions, then let's go through those. Right, okay, so there is one over here. Is there any ISTQB foundation level book which helped me for reference? So yes, Jatin, one book I have already attached in the group. So that's really good, because that book is referencing to the foundation exams. So you will see that all the syllabus is based on that. Plus, there are a couple of more books which I will add the link in the group as well for your reference, which will be useful. So I will post the links for that. Right. Okay. So yeah, I saw another question here. Which book? I didn't find any. Is it in the group? Yes, Rita. In the group, there will be a files section, and in the files section, you can see the book attached. If you still got it, all right, that's fine. All right, yeah, great. Yeah, so this is one of the books which is quite good, and there is another one as well, which I can provide you. I couldn't see any like online copy for that, but I will find a link for that. So maybe on Amazon, etc., and then I can just provide you the book, and you can go through it. Is there any other question before we end the session? What are the documentation should be prepared by a tester for a web application? Okay, so Syed Mudassar, can you please also give me a little bit more context of, okay, like user manual? No, a tester should never write a user manual, because most of the places there are people who are like technical writers who do write the manual. And I assume that you are talking about a product. So yes, let's say that if you are working for a company who has their own product, they are about to launch their products. And yes, if these products are used by different clients, then yes, as a company, you have to provide them user manual. But a tester shouldn't be writing user manual. It should be either a technical writer, etc., as well, because tester's job is to test rather than write something. And other thing you asked about the documentation. So it depends that what kind of methodology you are working in. So let's say that if you are working in a waterfall model where there is like a proper project which is finished, let's say for like which is done in like 5 to 6 months, and the proper traditional project planning was done for that, etc. In that case, then you have to come up with a test plan or a test strategy document. Sometimes these are two different documents. Sometimes you can also merge them in the same as well. And so test plan would be a must. Then also test progress reports, which means that what kind of testing is done. It can be done on monthly basis as well. It can be done on weekly basis, depends on how you have agreed with the client. And then at the end, the sign off as well. And few clients also require the test cases. They also say that, oh, we want all the requirement traceability metrics as well, that how you have mapped the test cases to our requirements. Also that what kind of test cases you have written, then all the test execution results. So it all depends that what level of details a client is asking for. Secondly, if we go to a model which is purely agile, then you don't need to do all this documentation, because it means that you are already using a tool for your sprints. For example, you are using Jira, or you are using Team Foundation Server. it depends like which tool your company is using for that. And all these details are in Jira when it comes to execution. And when it comes to planning and designing and execution of the test cases, there are so many test management tools right now, which can be used for all these activities, and then you can generate reports from them. And there are many tools, test management tools, which integrate with Jira as well, which means that in Jira also, when you integrate the tools, like for example, right now in our company, we are using Qtest with Jira. So in Qtest is a test management tool, and it integrates with Jira. And in Jira, everyone, whenever you open a user story, you can also see the list of the test cases and also the execution results as well. So, so in that case, then you don't have to rely all on the manual kind of documentation, especially when you are doing Agile. Agile is like, it moves so quickly. You are doing a 2-week sprint or a 3-week sprint, and you don't have that much time that you do all this documentation for all the sprints. So yeah, it depends that like what kind of application you are testing and what kind of model methodology you are adopting. I hope that answers your question. Right, Kanika, only one book is sufficient, the one you shared, or we need to study both books? What is the time we can cover this course? Right, okay, so Kanika, that's a very good question. I don't think you need 2 books. The one is enough. But yes, let's say it's just that, of course, for both books, the author will be writing from their own perspective. And I would say one book should be more than enough, because that's not the only thing you have. We are going through this session as well. And the purpose of this training session is that even if you don't read the book, it should be fine. So I would not say that purchase another book. I don't think that's necessary at all, because everything which is in the syllabus, so syllabus is what I will do, I will also tag the syllabus as well in the file section of the group, so that everyone has access to the syllabus. And whenever we do a session, you can go through the syllabus and see that, oh, whether we have covered this, we have missed this section. And yeah, do let me know, because let's say if I have missed something, then yeah, we can go back and cover that. Your exam would be only from the topics which are mentioned in the syllabus, nothing from outside. Right, so next is Umair. Please define difference in static and dynamic testing if possible. Okay, yeah, sure, Umair. So you can take, okay, if we just want to simplify it, when you are doing any testing, so let's say that there are requirements and there is an application. When you will test that application, that will be dynamic testing, because you are executing it. You are validating your test, so that would be dynamic testing. Static testing is that, let's say when you have the requirements and you are analyzing the requirements, you are reviewing the requirements, or let's say that the developers, they have the code and they are doing the analysis of code. So you might have heard or seen the term that when developers, before they integrate it to the test environment, they review the code. So this term of reviewing the code is static testing. And sometimes it's done manually, and sometimes it can be done by different tools. So there are static analysis tools which we can use to analyze the code. So it can be, static testing can cover the reviews or walkthrough of the code, or through any kind of documentation. It depends. It can be requirements, or it can be any other kind of documentation related to that project. But anything which is not including the execution of the test you have written, that's static testing. When you are doing actual testing, that would be dynamic. I hope that helps now and it's clear. If it's still not clear, let me know. Maybe in the group I can post some examples, because when we do theory, maybe it doesn't make sense, but yes, when we see those things in practical life and see some practical examples, then it's more clear. So let me know, then we can also share some examples, practical examples of static and dynamic testing in the group. Okay, let's do that. Okay, Sayed Mudassir, I'm the only tester in my organization. All right. Okay. Yes. So that's fine, Mudassir. So I know that, yes, it happens in many companies. I have also started in a way where I was the only tester, and later on, then I hired the team. So if you are the only tester, I'm not sure if they are expecting you to write the manual. So yeah, in detail, please okay, so you have also written, in my company, they asked me to prepare user manual and technical document for our own product. Okay, that's strange. So you are having a product and they ask you to prepare a user manual. Right. Okay. So Mudassir, maybe we can take it offline and discuss it separately, and or maybe in the group, if it can benefit others as well, that how that, because I want to understand like how much time then you spend on your testing if you are supposed to write a user manual or technical documentation as well. We are past 3:30, so yeah, that's why I just want to wrap it up quickly. So Mudassir, we will take it offline in the group, right? We will go through this. Okay, Jatin, how I get the book? Okay, so are you referring to the book which is already there in the group? Okay, GitLab. Okay, I'm not sure what do you mean by this, but okay, let's discuss it. Okay, when is the next session? Okay, Sahana, so I'm planning to have like one session per week at the same time, every Thursday, if that's fine with everyone. If not, then let me know. I know with the number of applicants, it will always be the case that maybe whatever time we choose, it's not suitable for all of you. And that's why I will be providing slides later on as well. But yes, I'll prefer to have the same time, same day, if that's fine. Jira is tool used for maintaining docs or any other use? Is it used for manual or automation? Okay, so Gaurav, Jira is a project management tool. So basically, Jira will have the details of different projects. So there will be different projects in that tool. And then you can have your user stories. User stories are nothing but your requirements. And then you track each user story, that whether it's in development and whether it's in testing. So as you move through each stage, you can see the status in Jira. And if there are any bugs, then yes, those bugs can also be reported in Jira. But because Jira is a project and defect management tool, it doesn't cover the test management tool, which means that we can't write the test cases or execute the test cases in Jira. That's why we use separate test management tools. And nowadays there are tools which you can integrate with Jira. As I was saying, one of the tools which I'm using right now, but there are many other tools as well. And if this is not clear, then I would encourage that people who are using Jira and other test management tools, please let us know your experiences, share your experiences in the group so that other can also take benefit of that. I'm not able to see file options. Okay, Jatin, after this session, what I will do, I will let you know that where it is. I can give you the exact location where the file section is. You're welcome, Mudassir. Thanks, Ahana. What tool are you using, ma'am, for test management? Okay, so I am using Qtest. I can share it in the group as well. So there are lots of tools. but there are only few tools which actually integrate with Jira. And it doesn't have to be Jira. Many companies, they are using other project management tools as well. Like, for example, many people who are using TFS, which is known as Team Foundation Server. And most of the companies who do C# development, they are using TFS, and that's like a totally separate world. And then they have their own built-in test management tool known as MTM, Microsoft Test Management as well, because that's all come under the Microsoft stack. The one which I'm using Qtest. It's by the company Tricentis. And then there is another one which is known as Zephyr. That's also a very good tool, and these both tools integrates with Jira. There must be many others as well, but I have used these two, so I'm aware of that. You're most welcome, Denmark Anthony. You're welcome, Kanika. Adaptive test management tool we are using. Right, okay. All right, Santosh, I'll be interested to know that then what do you use for project management? Like, do you integrate it with a project management tool, or are you using because some places they are using project management tools, like example, like Microsoft Project, where they have everything in that tool. So yeah, that would be interesting to know that how you are using it. You're welcome, Jatin. Welcome, Gaurav. Reed, welcome. Right, okay, so let's see what's here in the chat. Is there a difference between test design specification and test cases? In both, we mentioned the steps to be followed for test, if I am not wrong. So you are right. So test designing activity, or when you say test cases, writing test cases, it's the same thing, because of course you design the test cases. So writing comes under that. So it's the same thing. So yeah, this is not different. It's maybe like different terminologies. Yes, and this is fine. In testing, you will come across some terminologies which can be confusing, because there are like different terminologies which actually can be used instead of each other. So yeah, you are right. These two are absolutely the same ones. Jira is paid, right? We have to pay $12 per month for Jira. Yes, Naveed, that's right. So Jira is basically implemented by your company, because of course it's a project management tool. So it's like usually depending on how many, $12, it's not specifically $12. Jira is an Atlassian tool, and it depends on the total number of employee in that company, because Jira is charged per license, per user. So I think it depends on how many users you have. So there are different packages, and also the cost vary, that whether you are looking for like a server-based Jira or cloud-based. So they have like different prices for both of them. I think the cloud one is a bit cheaper, but usually this is purchased by the company, not individually. Okay, Jatin, yes, I will give you the file option. I'm making use of HPLM and wanted to know if Jira and HPLM is the same. Right, okay, so yeah, so HP, basically the entire suite of HP, it is basically comes under the test management part. Jira is the project management. In HP, it depends that whether you're using it for only test management. If yes, then what about the project people? Do they have access to HP as well? If the entire company is using HP products, then it's perfectly fine. But if no, then yeah, that would be different case. So maybe you are using HPLM for only the test products, but you're using something else as a company for the projects. So yeah, that would be interesting to know. Gaurav, I'm not getting any chat messages. Okay, so Gaurav, you can't see the chat messages. I hope that's what you mean. Right. Okay, I'll have a look. Maybe there's some setting which I need to change next time so that everyone can see the chat messages. Okay, I'll have a look at that. Okay, Nokia 7.2, that's where we raised defects as well. Yeah, that's right, because this HP is the test management tool. So you will write your test cases over there, you will execute the test cases, and also you will raise the defects over there. Right, so you are doing everything over there, but in terms of the requirements, are the requirements, how are you maintaining the requirements? Are these in form of separate documents somewhere else? And then you are writing test cases against that. So I hope that's the way you are doing it. Or is there a place to, is there an option to import the test cases? I'm not sure. I have not used the newer version of HPLM. I have used it earlier when it was not HP, when it was Mercury, and it was known as like Test Director, Windrunner, etc., Load Runner. So that's the time when I have used these products individually, but not since it was taken up by HP. Right. Okay, so I think we are done with all the questions. Oh, we have few more. Yeah, no problem for a single session a week. Thank you. All right, that's fine. It's a Jira plugin. Santosh, what were you referring to? Jira plugin, the one which you mentioned. Okay, so that's the Jira plugin. All right. Okay. Yeah, I think that would be similar to what I mentioned, Zephyr, because that's also a plugin. But QTest is a separate tool, etc. That's a totally different thing. ALM is different test management. That's right. Yes. So it's HP, and it's maybe you have heard about Test Director. So it was earlier known as Test Director, but ALM is basically a suite of different test tools. TestLink is also a project management tool, right? But I think it's old now. On a 10, I have heard about TestLink. I will make a note, but actually I'm not sure what it is now. I don't remember, so I can have a look. I don't want to just say something which I don't know about. So I'll have a look, and then I can confirm whether it's a project management tool. With the name TestLink, it seems like that it's a test management, but let's see. Okay, Mujtaba, how do you define test strategy for a product that has been there for around 3 years now? Basically, I'm joining a company as a first member of QA department and have to outline the planning and strategy for the processes. Okay, Mujtaba, that's a very, very good question. I'm sorry we are a little bit over the given time, but yeah, people are asking really good questions. So yeah, let's just go through this question as well. Okay, Mujtaba, so when there are two documents, if you are, let's say you are planning to outline the planning and strategy for the processes, you will write two documents. You will start with test policy, and then you will write test strategy, because these are the two documents which are organization level documents. When we write documents, they are based on different levels. Test policy and test strategy will be the documents which will be for the organization, and it can be used for at any time. And these will be the kind of documents which will not be changed a lot. Maybe every 6 months or every year, you will review the policy and strategy, and then you will, you can make the changes based on that year, right? So what will be the test policy? Test policy is something, it will be maybe a 1 or 2 page document, which will just outline that what are the test policies, what's the motive of the testing over there, importance of testing in your company. As a company, what kind, you will not mention tool sets over here at all. It's just that how seriously you take the quality, what is quality for the company, and do you have an independent team, etc. And how do you ensure that everything is of high quality. So these, you know, all these high level things where you are not mentioning all the details are a test policy document. I will see if online I can see an example of a test policy document which I can refer you to. Second is test strategy. So test strategy would be, you can say, the test policy will be the root of test strategy. So a test policy you have given, let's say, a 1 or 2 page document with the very high level things showing the agenda of your organization. Test strategy will be a detailed document. but still over here, you will not talk about any project. The strategy, you can refer to a kind of template for any kind of project. So you will mention that, yes, what kinds of testing, what types of testing you do in your organization, how do you define your exit and entry criteria, and how do you identify the risks, and how do you agree on the severities of the bugs, etc. How do you sign off? Are you using agile methodology? Are you using automation testing? Are you using performance testing tool, etc.? If you're using Jira for project management. So this is the document where you will mention all these details, but you will not mention any project. This will again is an organization level document. So once you have these test policy and test strategy document, then it comes the test plan. So test plan is basically that, yes, you have test policy and test strategy as a base. And then for every project, you will come up with a test plan. So this is how is the hierarchy of all the documents which you want to write for when you are coming up with processes. So I hope that answered the question. If not, then yes, do let me know, and then we can have a chat about it. Right, okay, you're welcome. You're welcome, Santosh. Okay, guys, so what's there? Is any fee for this course, ma'am? Which one is for this course? No, Gaurav. What I'm providing this group training, that's for completely free. All you have to do is that when you are ready for the exam, you just have to register to an exam center, and you have to take the exam. But yes, for this course, there is no fee. Which one is best tool for management, test management, and project management? Gaurav, all the tools, they are good in their own way. And I think as a tester, usually we don't have that much privilege to define or to decide, yes, until you are like in a senior position of your company. Like if you are a test manager or test or a head of test, then yes, you do get to make those decisions. But usually like if we are working as a tester, then we just have to adapt the tool we are using. So all tools are similar. I have worked with different tools, and they all have their own pros and cons, but all of them, they serve the basic purpose of test management, which is what we need. So yeah, I would say that whatever the company is using, if that's providing what the company needs, it's perfectly fine. Can you elaborate more about test policy and test strategy? Yes. So what I will do that I will try to find an example of test policy and test strategy document, because when you will see it, then you will have a better idea. I'm just writing it down so that I don't forget that I have to share these details later on. Right. Okay. All right then. Yeah, Mushtaba, sure, definitely, I will do that. Right, okay, so thank you so much, everyone, and I hope that this session was useful. Next time, because this was like our first session, so I just went a little bit slower, and I didn't cover, but next time, if you are okay, I would like to speed up a little bit, because if you see the syllabus, there is a lot to cover, and we'll be having like once a week session. So in that way, then maybe it will take like 8 to 10 sessions, and maybe few of you want to take exams earlier than that. So let's try to speed up next time. And it's good that you all are taking so much interest, because by the type of questions you are asking, it seems like that, yes, that you really have interest in it, and that's what's the purpose of the group as well, that we do all these discussions. All of you have the permission to post, so you can, anyone can do any kind of post. It's not like on that I post and you just reply, and it doesn't have to be ISTQB related at all. So you can just post anything you would like in the domain of testing, of course. And then what we can do that based on what you are asking or what you are discussing, I can tag it with different posts so that we can have different post topics. And then let's say for automation testing, we can have a post topic and that will appear on the right side of the group. And if someone wants to just know about the documents, then we can have a topic of documents. If we want to talk about ISTQB, you can already see that there is a topic of ISTQB. So all the ISTQB related posts, I tag it with that topic. If you are not sure how to use this post topic functionality in the group, let me know. I can show you that as well. But yeah, let's just make good use of this group together so that we can share our experiences and we can learn from each other, right? Okay, then thank you so much everyone for your time, and I will see you in the group soon then. Bye.